It is often said that Penang Hokkien was brought to Penang by Hokkien merchants who came to Penang and established their clan presence here. Based on their recorded history, it was the merchants who came, brought the language and from there, established it in Penang. However, questions arise over this hypothesis that have not been adequately explained. In this article, I want to show that the variant of Hokkien that we know today as Penang Hokkien has been around in this region even before Penang was established. Those who claim that it was Hokkien merchants who brought the language to Penang trace the origin of those merchants to places such as Siam and Zhangzhou, where this variant of Hokkien is not spoken. How then could they have brought the variant of Hokkien which bears a closer resemblance to the Zhangzhou variant? Often this is explained away as the area in Siam, from where Penang Hokkien originated, is no longer speaking the Zhangzhou variant due to time factor, influence from other languages, and political separation. There is however one historical reason to explain how the population that spoke the Zhangzhou variant make a shift, and I will come back to that later. Another problem in this hypothesis is that the merchants arrived to establish their presence in Penang after Penang has been established. So what language were the Chinese in Penang speaking before the merchants arrive? If they were to claim that they were the pioneers to arrive, this is also questionable, as recorded history has shown that the Chinese already had a presence in this region prior to the founding of Penang. The presence of the Peranakan in Malacca who speak Baba Malay demonstrates that the presence of womenfolk is vital for the establishing of a language. Without any women who speak the Hokkien language to raise children, the language could not be passed to the next generation. When Hokkien merchants fathered children with local women, the children grew up speaking the language of the mother, and that is why the Hokkien Peranakan in Malacca speak Baba Malay instead of Hokkien. Until the 20th century, all seafarers leaving southern China were men. Women were not allowed to participate in the mercantile trade. They remained at home in Fujian province. It was the men who sailed to different places in Southeast Asia to trade. In order to better understand the situation, we need to go beyond our knowledge of history on a local level, to look at research carried out in neighboring countries and even regional history. While it is true that without the Hokkien merchants, the Hokkien language would not have found a foothold in Southeast Asia, it is also true that without the Hokkien refugees, the Hokkien language would not be spoken in Southeast Asia today. Left to their own devices, the Hokkien merchants in the Malay Peninsula would father a generation of children speaking a creolized form of the native language, which would be Baba Malay. On the other hand, without the Hokkien merchants to establish the sea routes and trade infrastructure, the refugees would not have a chance to settle here and continue the use of their language. The most significant event, which many do not recognize today, was the fall of the Ming Dynasty in China in 1644. The invading Manchus established the Qing dynasty, but when they arrived in Fujian province, they faced resistance from Ming loyalists which led to many bloody battles. Determined to crush the rebels, the Manchu forcibly relocated the coastal population of Fujian province by between 11 to 18 miles. This wholesale people movement is the one possible explanation of the hypothesis that the people in Haizong district in present-day Siam once spoke the Zhangzhou variant of Hokkien. This action of shifting the entire coastal population wrecked the economy of Fujian province, causing in mass starvation, and resulting in a mass exodus of refugees from southern China to Southeast Asia. This is the one event that would explain why the Chinese in Southeast Asia speak Chinese, or to be exact, different Chinese languages. They fled southern China only on men, but also women, children and even livestock, and with such high numbers that they were able to retain the use of their language to this day. When we survey the Hokkien language geography of Peninsular Malaysia, we can observe that the Hokkien language spoken on the local level is composed of two main variants, the Zhangzhou variant in the north, and the Zhangzhou variant in the south. To understand this split, we need to go back in time to the 17th and 18th centuries, which was around when the two variants arrived. And to do that, we also need to shift the border. The border between Malaysia and Thailand that we know today does not apply in the 17th and 18th centuries. Kingdom of Kedah was part of Siam, and in and out as a vassal state until 1909, when it became permanently part of Malaya. This split between Malaya and Siam offers us an insight into the variants on Hokkien that are spoken. On the Siam side, it is the Zhangzhou variant, whereas on the Malaya side, it is the Zhangzhou variant. That demarcation split is between presently-day Kedah and Perak. Taiping is the only major town in Perak where the Zhangzhou variant is spoken, and this is because it was founded by the Chinese of Penang. It was the Chinese in Penang who established the tin mines in the Larut district. It was they brought in the laborers to work the mines, and in so doing, it was they who transplanted their language to Taiping. But elsewhere in Perak, particularly along the coast, if Hokkien were spoken, it would be the Zhangzhou variant. When refugees spilled out of Fujian province, the Teochews and the Zhangzhou-Hokkien settled in Siam. Among the places where the Hokkien settled included Ligar, which we know today as Nakhon Si Thammarat, and Songkhla. Until the fall of Ayutthaya, the Hokkien also had a presence there. Separately, the Teochews settled in Trot and Chantabun, all the way to present-day Pattaya. Although decades of nationalization have erased our knowledge of Hokkien influence in Thailand, if we were to go back in time to the 18th century, we would see that the Hokkiens were highly influential in southern Thailand, rising to become the local rulers in places like Nakhon Si Thammarat and Songkhla. These local rulers had good relationship with King Taksin of Siam, who himself was an ethnic Teochew on the paternal side. In the decades prior to the founding of Penang Island in 1786, there was already strong Hokkien influence in southern Siam, which includes the present-day states of Kedah, Kelantan, and Terengganu. Penang Hokkien is simply a modern name for a variant of Hokkien that has been spoken in this region for centuries. It was not brought to Penang after Penang was established. It was here all along. Even before there was Penang, it was already spoken in this region, in Kedah, in Kelantan, and across the present-day border in southern Thailand. Nevertheless, we know it today as Penang Hokkien, because it is now part of our cultural identity. It is who we are. But at the same time, we also recognize that people in other cities in this region speak the same variant as we do. If they choose to call their variant Taiping Hokkien, Alor Setar Hokkien, Maidan Hokkien or Songkhla Hokkien, we should respect and accept their decision, even though their variant very much resembles ours. It does not matter if I speak Penang Hokkien while you speak Taiping Hokkien, we are one. Thank you for watching the Learn Penang Hokkien YouTube channel. If you like this video, please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and we'll see you again soon. Have a nice day.